The smell of her perfume hit me first. That goddamn Chanel No. 5 I'd bought her last anniversary. Still clinging to the paper like she'd spritzed the note instead of just writing it. You always said I'd never have the guts, Lucas. Guess you're as bad at reading people as you are at marriage. Don't bother looking for the safe. D. I laughed. Actually fucking laughed. Right there in the kitchen where we'd shared coffee that morning. Because Diane had taught me that move. The way she'd slash certain letters when she was lying. That little hook on the G, in guts, quivering like a fishhook. 23 years together, and she still thought I wouldn't notice. The safe was behind our wedding portrait in the den. My fingers didn't shake when I spun the combination. 3 left, 27 right, 15 left. Her birthday. Always her birthday. The steel door swung open to empty black velvet. That's when the Polaroid fell out. Not from the safe. From the fucking note itself, tucked between the folds like some perverse bookmark. Diane leaning against a red Mustang convertible I'd never seen. Some gym rat douchebag's arm slung over her shoulder like a boa constrictor. His watch glinted in the sunlight, a Rolex Daytona with a green face. Custom. Rare. The kind of detail a contractor remembers after decades of rich clients flaunting their toys. My coffee mug shattered against the wall. Arabica dripped down the cabinets like old blood. Flashback. 3 weeks ago. 2:47 a.m. Her side of the bed cold. I'd found her in the backyard, phone glowing under the pergola. Can't sleep, she'd said, too quickly. The moon's just so full tonight. The screen went dark before I could see the contact name. Flashback. Last Tuesday. Her new yoga class reeked of chlorine when she came home. Hot tub at the studio, she'd shrugged, toweling hair that wasn't wet. Flashback. Yesterday. The way she'd lingered in the doorway before leaving for her spa day. Eyes tracing the crown molding like she was memorizing the architecture. You know, she'd started, then shook her head. Never mind. Love you. The Polaroid crinkled in my fist. Green-faced Rolex guy had a tan line where his wedding ring should have been. Diane's left hand. Bare. No 5-carat emerald-cut diamond I'd mined from 3 suppliers to get flawless. Just pale skin and knuckles clenched around a car door handle. I crossed to the liquor cabinet. Macallan 25, her favorite. Poured 2 fingers. Dumped it down the sink. The safe's emptiness yawned at me. 400 grand in non-sequential hundreds, gone. But the Polaroid, that was sloppy. She'd been sloppy. Rushed. The note's jagged edge where she'd torn it from her planner. The same leather-bound planner I'd watched her color code for a decade. Purple for appointments. Red for bills. Black for secrets. I slid the photo into my wallet. Smoothed the note flat on the counter. Traced the indentation where she'd pressed too hard with the pen. Don't bother looking. Oh, I'll look, I told the empty house, voice bouncing off the vaulted ceiling she'd insisted we install. But not for cash. The garage door opener hummed in my pocket. Her Mercedes was gone, but my old Ford pickup waited under a tarp. I yanked it free, dust motes swirling in the sunlight. Buried beneath a stack of roofing catalogs was the other safe. The real safe. Digital keypad beeped under my fingers. March 27th, 15 again. The hydraulics hissed. Neat stacks of hundreds stared back, untouched. I lit a cigar with the note. Watched Diane's handwriting curl into ash. You took the decoy, sweetheart, I told the smoke. Hope that Rolex is worth it. Because contractors know 2 things better than anyone. How to build foundations and how to rig them to collapse. The bank manager's fountain pen kept clicking. 3 times per minute, like a metronome counting down to my next felony. I stared at the polished oak desk between us, breathing through the acid rising in my throat. Diane's signature on the account closure form stared up at me, loopy and triumphant, the same flourish she'd used on our wedding certificates. And you're certain it was her? I asked, tapping the security photo they'd printed. Diane in oversized sunglasses that cost more than the banker's suit, gloved hands clutching a Burberry tote. Classic misdirection, hide the fingers, show the fashion. The banker, Mitch, according to his brass nameplate, adjusted his tie. Positive. She had the access codes, ID, even answered the security question about your first pet. His throat bobbed. Golden doodle named Biscuit, 2004. I froze. Biscuit's ashes were still in an urn on Diane's vanity. She cried actual tears when the vet suggested euthanasia. Clever girl, I murmured. The pen clicked again. Mitch didn't notice me pocketing it. Then came the kicker. There was another woman with her. Mitch volunteered, eager to please now that he'd fucked up. Red hair? Kept calling Mrs. Whitaker sis. The air conditioning vent above us hummed. I smelled Emily's Jean Nate perfume before I even pictured her, that cloying lilac stench she'd worn since high school, back when she'd convinced Tommy Rourke she was pregnant with twins to steal his '68 Camaro. Security footage, I said, not a question. Mitch's mouse skittered across the pad. The monitor rotated to show Diane and Emily at the teller counter 3 days prior. Black and white footage, but I didn't need color to see the tells. Emily's left hand kept brushing against Diane's elbow. Their old signal. Keep lying. Diane handed over a safety deposit box key I didn't recognize. Watched the teller count out $82,000 in hundreds. Emily's laughter pulsed through the grainy video, head thrown back like they'd just shared a private joke. Then it happened. Emily reached into her purse, pulled out a travel-sized Kleenex pack. Boom. Flashback, 2017. Emily's third husband crying in our kitchen, snot dripping onto his Armani shirt. She said she had allergies. He'd wailed, holding up identical Kleenex packs stuffed with shredded $100 bills instead of tissues. On screen, Emily offered the pack to the teller. The woman smiled, took one. Didn't notice the barely visible seam along the plastic where Emily's ringed fingers blocked the light. My jaw ached from clenching. I'll need copies of every document she signed. Of course, but and the serial numbers on those bills. Mitch paled. That's not standard procedure, Mr. Whitaker. I leaned forward, the stolen pen digging into my palm. You let my wife drain $82,000 from an account I opened with my construction bonds while her grifter sister swapped cash for confetti right under your nose. My smile felt like cracked concrete. Let's discuss what's standard for your resume. The drive home blurred. I parked outside Emily's last known address, a duplex still sporting Halloween cobwebs in May. Through cracked curtains, I spotted the red wig she'd worn in the bank footage dangling from a lamp. My burner phone buzzed. The PI I'd hired after the Polaroid incident. They're at the Marriott Marquis, he said. Paid cash for a suite under Mr. and Mrs. Daytona. I gripped the steering wheel until the leather creaked. Green-faced Rolex. Daytona. Keep watching them. You want photos? No. I stared at Emily's trash can overflowing with Kleenex packs. I want inventory. That night, I spread the bank documents across my workbench. Diane's forged signatures. The safety deposit box number. The withdrawal time, 10:17 a.m. I cross-referenced with our home security logs. 10:14 a.m. Garage door opened. 10:16 a.m. Living room motion sensor triggered. 10:22 a.m. Garage door closed. She'd been home during the withdrawal. The pen clicked in my hand, Mitch's nervous tattoo now mine. I dissected it with pliers. Inside the ink cartridge, a micro camera. Bank security had gotten creative. On my laptop, the feed loaded. Diane's gloved hands filling out forms. Emily's Kleenex scam. And there, reflected in Mitch's monitor, a parking validation stamp from the Riverside Marina, where I kept my boat. Where she'd surprised me with a birthday cruise last month. Where she'd stolen the safety deposit key from my emergency kit. The pin's camera had also captured something else. When Mitch looked up Diane's account, his screen flashed a memo, client flagged for offshore transfers, Grand Cayman branch. I poured bourbon over the documents, watched ink bleed into Rorschach blots. Two can play the long game, I told the buzzing street light outside. Tomorrow, I'd start building a better trap. With her own fucking blueprints. The floorboards creaked differently under my work boots as I pried up the third plank from the east wall, the one with the carpenter bee damage Diane had nagged me to fix for years. Perfect camouflage. My laptop balanced on a sawhorse, its screen casting a sickly blue glow over the USB drive I'd pulled from our old router. Tech guys at the job site taught me this trick years ago. Residential routers store deleted emails longer than divorce lawyers keep secrets. The drive hummed as it booted. I sipped cold coffee from a paint can lid. Diane would have gagged at the grounds floating in it, and started combing through fragments. Deleted items, 3,417 entries. Her email password? Biscuit 2004. The dog she'd euthanized. The year we bought this house. Sentimentality as a security flaw. I filtered by recipient. Emily's AOL address that still used sexykitten72, unironically. February 14th, 11:03 p.m. Subject, V-Day plants. Metro Diner receipt attached. Chocolate martinis gave him food poisoning. Eddie R now. Perfect cover to check floor plans again. He's snoring in bed. Safe code still March 27th, 15? You were right. He's too sentimental to change it. XOD. My thumb found the scar on my palm from that night, stitches after accidentally grabbing broken glass during Diane's hospital drama. March 8th, 2:17 a.m. Subject, no subject. PDF attachment, 2019_tax_returns_final_v2.pdf. Body, tell your guy the decoy dimensions need +1/8 on hinges. He'll never suspect the safe if the wear patterns match. Pia still think we should take the boat instead. The PDF was password protected. I tried Daytona, 4,032 bytes of corrupted data. Greenface, a spreadsheet emerged. Materials list. Item, fireproof composite lining. Quantity, 18 square feet. Supplier, SafeTech LLC. Order date, December 15th, 23. Delivery, Emily's P.O. Box. Delivery date, 3 days after Diane's girls' weekend in Reno. When she come home smelling like cigars and WD-40. My coffee can lid cracked in my fist. Plastic shards bit into flesh as I dragged the cursor to the trash folder's deepest layer. April 1st, 9:41 p.m. Subject, jokes on him. Final test today. Swapped his insulin pens with saline. Watched him check blood sugar 5 times. Panic was almost convincing. He'll never suspect the safe now, too busy doubting his own mind. April 15th can't come soon enough. Love you, sis. The date stamp burned. April 1st, the night I'd collapsed during dinner, Diane performing CPR with tears streaming down her face as EMTs arrived. She'd saved my life and recorded every second of it. I vomited into the paint can, wiped my mouth, crawled to the tool cabinet. The hidden floor safe's biometric scanner glowed red until I pressed my sugar-stable thumbprint against it. Last access, April 14th, 24, 11:58 p.m. Diane's midnight visit. 2 minutes before her staged exit. The vault opened with a hiss. Bundles of hundreds stared back, each wrapped in 2017 newspaper, the year Emily's second husband fell off their roof. Headlines about inadequate safety rails. But the real treasure was taped to the ceiling, a thumb drive labeled insurance. The spreadsheet loaded. Access log. Date time duration decoy safe weight. LBS. April 14th, 23:58 2 minutes and 47 seconds 42.3. April 15th, 0:01 seconds 8.7. She'd taken the decoy cache. Returned minutes later to add something. Cross-referencing security footage timestamps revealed the gap. 12:01 a.m., when our power coincidentally flickered during a clear sky. I zoomed in on the decoy safe's interior cam stills. There, nestled under the shredded mortgage papers she'd mistaken for cash, a Ziploc bag of my insulin vials. Expiration date, April 14th, 24. Clever girls, I whispered, logging into the dark web portal where I'd bought the decoy safe's load cells. Adjusted the calibration settings. Let them think their sabotage worked. Let them get comfortable. The spreadsheet stayed open as I drafted replies to 6 construction bids, all fake companies registered to Emily's ex-husbands. Revenge, like concrete, needs proper curing time. And I just mixed the foundation. The surveillance photos hit my kitchen island like a dealer shuffling marked cards. Diane lounging on a balcony I recognized instantly. The Azure Tower, downtown's glass monstrosity. My crew poured concrete for that eyesore in '09. I could still smell the silica fumes when they installed her unit's Italian marble floors. The PI, a wiry ex-cop named Vargas, tapped a shot of Emily hauling trash bags to the building's compactor. Your wife's living in 42B. Leased it 3 months ago under Diana Green. I snorted. Green was my mother's maiden name. Diane had stolen the silverware from her funeral. Vargas slid over bank statements. She's been posting #FreshStart selfies while funneling cash through shell companies. His finger landed on a $15,000 transfer to Emerald Interiors, Emily's Failed Decorator LLC from 2018. Amateur hour. They're laundering through a fake business that already has bankruptcy flags. Not laundering, I corrected, zooming in on Diane's balcony furniture. Custom teak loungers from that San Diego job where she'd slept with the landscaper. Recycling. My phone buzzed with an alert, motion sensors triggered in my tool shed. The decoy safe's hidden camera showed two figures in black rifling through my welding gear. Diane's new Rolex boyfriend pocketed my acetylene torch. Emily, ever the klepto, swiped a box of roofing nails. They're getting bold, Vargas noted. Desperate, I said. For weeks since the heist, and the sisters were still burning cash. The Azure's penthouse rent alone would bleed $20,000 monthly. I paid Vargas in unmarked 50s. I need hers inside their apartment. His eyebrow arched. Bugs are federal. Not asking you. I pulled up the Azure's floor plans on my tablet. Building code requires trash chutes on every floor. Their compactors service Fridays at 10 a.m. Vargas grinned. You want me to dumpster dive? Better. I opened a fresh blueprint. I want to mail them a housewarming gift. The delivery man's coveralls stank of salami, courtesy of the Genoa Deli where I'd paid him $500 to borrow their van. He hefted the gourmet basket I'd assembled, overpriced olives, balsamic aged in oak barrels I could have built myself, and a crystal wine opener with a 48-hour battery-powered mic embedded in the handle. Unit 42B, I said, adjusting his wire. Tell them it's from Admirers Anonymous. Security footage later showed Emily accepting the basket, her raccoon eyes lighting up at the view of Clickwat. Diane hovered in the background, face tightening when Emily popped the cork. Probably poisoned, Diane snapped, but Emily was already chugging. The bug's first 8 hours captured mundane crap, blow dryers, reality TV, Emily bitching about her spray tan. Then, midnight. Glasses clinking. Ice cubes cracking like vertebrae. Emily's voice, slurred. We need more money. Diane, there is no more. Lucas had assets. Bullshit. You said he had millions offshore. And I said I'd find them. A slap of skin on granite. You think I like living off credit cards? Emily's laugh sounded like a nail gun misfiring. Please. You've got that Cayman account info somewhere. Hand it over, or maybe I'll visit your boy toy's wife. What's her name? Brittany. The one who thinks he's on a fishing trip. Silence. Then the clatter of a keyboard. Diane, I see. Transferring $50,000. Now get out. Make it 70. You're insane. Says the woman who faked a diabetic coma. The audio cut with a thud, someone tossing the wine opener into a drawer. But not before catching Diane's final whisper. Should have let him die. I rewound that last line 17 times. Let the words drill into my spine each replay. Then I drove to the storage unit holding Diane's lost jewelry collection, the pieces she thought had been stolen during our break-in last year. The diamond tennis bracelet glinted under my work light. I fed it into the industrial rock tumbler I'd bought for polishing concrete samples. Watched stones fracture into glitter dust. You want offshore accounts? I murmured, bagging the diamond grit. Let's see you launder powder. At 3 a.m., I broke into Emily's 99 Miata, still parked at the Azure with expired tags. Sprinkled the diamond dust into her AC vents. Every time she turned on the defroster, she'd inhale her sister's betrayal. Vargas texted at dawn. They took the bait. Transfer traced to a Belize bank. I smiled against my coffee mug. The foundation was poured. Now to let it set. The call came at 3:17 a.m., her old passive-aggressive specialty, waking me just as REM sleep hit. I let it ring twice while lighting a Cuban with my free hand. The glow from my laptop illuminated the phony IRS notice I'd drafted using 2017 letterhead from that tax fraud case she pretended to care about. You psychotic son of a bitch. Diane's voice crackled through the speaker, undercut by the clink of ice cubes. An audit? Really? I muted myself, letting her hear only the hiss of the recording software I'd synced to our landline. On screen, the Azure's security feed showed her pacing the balcony in a silk robe, the fake notice crumpled in her fist. I know you did this, she spat. Those offshore accounts were your idea back in. Back in what, Diane? I finally unmuted, watching her flinch at my voice. The year you claimed Emily's Botox as a business expense? Or when you accidentally donated my classic Mustang to a fake charity. Silence. Then the wet click of her tongue against teeth, a tell she'd picked up from Emily. The IRS agent mentioned Grand Cayman trusts. Only you knew about those. I leaned back, studying the forged notice's watermark, a blurred eagle-eyed photoshopped using the logo from her Pilford Country Club stationery. Funny, the real IRS uses a different shade of blue on Form 1040C. Her breath hitched. I imagined her scrambling for a penlight to check the paper's fibers, just like I'd taught her after the embezzlement scandal with her first husband. This is harassment, she hissed. My lawyer will. Will what? Subpoena records of accounts you drained. I tapped a key, sending a screenshot to her burner phone. The Belize transfer Vargas had intercepted. Face it, D. You're not a criminal mastermind. You're a middle-aged real housewife who got confused between Ocean's 11 and QVC. The balcony door slammed on her end. Security footage showed Emily lurking inside, face pressed against the glass like a raccoon at a dumpster. Diane's voice dropped to that saccharine purr she used when begging for Mercedes upgrades. Let's be adults here. You withdraw the audit. I'll reconsider the alimony demands. I let the silence stretch, counting the faint clicks of her rotating the fake notice under a lamp. Hunting for flaws. Missing the big picture. Still there, Lucas? Or did your blood sugar crash again? The barb landed exactly where she wanted. My insulin pump beeped on cue, a theatrical touch I'd programmed for this moment. You switched my meds, I rasped, dialing up the wheeze. All those nights, hospital. A sharp intake of breath. Not guilt, excitement. I could practically hear Emily pumping a fist in the background. Such a shame, Diane cooed. A sick old man making reckless accusations. Who'd believe you? I let the call drop. Watched the sisters high-five through the security cam. Then pulled up the IRS database I'd hacked using the access codes from Mitch's stolen pen. The fake audit case number blinked red. Disputed, fraud flag. Exactly where I needed it. Vargas texted at dawn. They took the bait. Again. Attached was a photo of Diane marching into a law firm. The same one that had represented Emily's third husband. The same one whose senior partner owed me for that Vegas incident involving a cement mixer and a showgirl. I toasted their naivety with orange juice, squeezing the carton until pulp oozed over my knuckles. Checkmate smelled like vitamin C and hubris. The humidity in Emily's Miata smelled like desperation and stale jewel pots. I watched through binoculars as she waved a Ziploc of cash at some greasy kid in a Def Leppard shirt behind the counter of Cash 4 Gold Plus. His face said it all, even pawnshop meth heads know confetti when they see it. Third try this week, Vargas muttered from the driver's seat of our stolen Amazon van. Sisters got the survival instincts of a lemming. I adjusted the parabolic mic. Emily's shriek cut through the afternoon haze. It's non-sequential, you idiot. Lucas probably marked the bills. The kid held up a shredded strip with half a Hamilton's face. Yeah, and I'm Mark fucking Zuckerberg. Get your meth head end out of here. Diane lunged from the passenger seat, sunglasses askew. Security footage later showed her slapping a Krugerrand on the counter. My father's 1976 proof coin, stolen from his casket. The kid bit it, nodded, handed over $800 in greasy 20s. Pathetic, I said, zooming in on Emily's death grip on the cash. She used to grift CEOs. Vargas snorted. Heroin's a hell of a demotion. Back at the Azure, their fight vibrated through the bug I'd planted in Diane's Cartier watchwinder. We need liquid. Emily's voice cracked. That Rolex twink's asking for another loan. Diane's lighter flicked. Sell your car. My car. Glass shattered. You promised millions. I didn't swap his insulin for salt water to fund your Botox. I paused the audio. Cross-referenced Emily's known associates. Gregory Marsh. Emily's second husband. Unpaid alimony, $142,000. Current occupation, Bass Pro Shops manager. Hobbies, taxidermy, revenge. Perfect. The fax machine in Gregory's fishing lodge still used the number Emily had tattooed on her ankle. I sent a grainy still from the bank footage, Emily laughing over stacks of cash with a type note. She's hiding assets in gutted bear carcasses. Check Warehouse 12B. 3 days later, legal papers arrived at the Azure. Process server's log. For 32 p.m., subject, Emily, answered door wearing bathrobe. Upon serving, attempted to stab me with fondue fork. Threatened to salt the earth. Photographed fork as Exhibit B. The lawsuit demanded $327,000, back alimony plus interest calculated using a clause Emily had mocked as unenforceable during their divorce. Gregory's lawyer had found the loophole. Any proven concealment of assets resets the payment clock to day one. I celebrated at the Marriott bar, sipping Macallan beside a convention of HVAC repairmen. On my tablet, Emily's Venmo lit up with $17 transfers to Greg the Leg 86, each memo line reading "fuck you." Vargas slid into the adjacent seat. Gregory's draining her dry. How'd you know about the bear carcasses? I pulled up Emily's Pinterest board, taxidermy chic home decor. Grifters always return to their first crime scene. The real masterpiece arrived via certified mail. Gregory's evidence list included photographs of Emily's Kleenex cash packs courtesy of my PI's lost camera. Testimony from Mitch the banker about her suspicious deposits. A notarized letter claiming Emily had bragged about offshore accounts. All forged. All untraceable. Diane called at night, voice trembling. Call off your dogs, Lucas. Emily's talking to reporters. I let her hear ice cubes clinking. Reporters love stories about sisters who poison husbands. You wouldn't. Wouldn't I? I attached the insulin vial photo from the decoy safe. Hit send. Check your spam folder. Her scream rattled the speakers. I muted her, watching Emily's Instagram update in real time, a tearful live stream about financial abuse that got flagged for copyright violation when she played a Taylor Swift song. Predatory patience, I learned, tastes like top-shelf scotch and other people's collapse. The trap was set. Now to watch the bears charge. The line at First National snaked around velvet ropes like a conga line of suckers. Diane's hands shook under the marble counter, not from guilt, but withdrawal. For days since her last Xanax, and the shredded paper bricks in her Birkin felt heavier with each teller's cha-ching of approval stamps. Next, she slid the safety deposit box key across the counter, the one she'd lifted from Lucas's boat. The teller, pimply, maybe 20, frowned at the jagged edges of the bills she'd painstakingly taped together. Large deposit? The kid asked, holding a strip to the light. 200,000. Diane forced a laugh. My husband's a magician. Loves shredding things for the insurance. The kid peered closer. Frozen. Because I'd added my own flair to the decoy cash. Microprint property of Lucas Whitaker along Hamilton's collar in UV reactive ink. The manager materialized, lips moving soundlessly as he scanned the strips. Diane's left eye twitched, the same tick she'd gotten after maxing our first credit card in Vegas. Mrs. Whitaker, the manager purred. Let's discuss this in my office. Security footage shows her bolting at the word fraud, heels sparking on polished floors. She made it 6 blocks before ditching the Birkin in a dumpster, the same model she'd made me hunt for 3 hours when she accidentally tossed her pearls at the country club. I watched it all from the Azure's security hub, munching licorice ropes. The anonymous tip to IC had been a nice touch. Nothing gets a raid moving faster than hinting at cartel ties. SWAT hit Unit 42B at 4:03 p.m. Emily answered the door wrapped in a towel, vodka cranberry in hand. The body cam footage is poetry. Diane Whitaker. Where is she? Emily's mascara dripped onto an officer's vest. Bathroom. She's. But the balcony door yawned open, curtains flapping like surrender flags. Diane's escape rope, braided bedsheets anchored to a radiator, swayed over the 42nd floor drop. At the 35th floor, security cams caught her fire escape ballet, barefoot, diamonds still glinting in her lobes, leaping between scaffolding like some deranged Spider-Woman. They cuffed Emily for obstruction. Her mugshot's a masterpiece, one false lash dangling, hair matted with whatever $800 conditioner she'd shoplifted. My burner rang as they booked her. Lucas, you glorious bastard. Emily's whisper cut through jailhouse static. I'll give you Diane's Cayman account codes. Just get me out. I let her hear the clink of my Zippo. Why would I need codes from a woman who thinks Belize is a Star Wars planet? A metallic screech, her dragging the phone against bars. She's got a second lover. Some crypto bro helping her hack your offshore. Mason Cole. I blew smoke at the surveillance monitors. 25 years old. Arrested twice for SIM swapping. Currently out on bail, which Diane posted using our joint account. Silence. Then a wet sniff. You knew? I introduced them. The lie tasted sweet. Mason was pure luck, a kid who tried phishing my crew last fall. Funny thing about crypto brothers. Their cold wallets get real chatty when IC threatens deportation. Emily's voice shrank. What do you want? I watched Diane's pixelated figure emerge downtown, limping past the soup kitchen where we'd volunteered to impress her Bible-thumping mama. Tell me where she's going. Fuck you. Or, I pulled up Emily's sealed juvie records. Arson, age 14. Emailed them to the DA. Enjoy explaining why your ex's base boat really sank. The line died. Then, check your texts. A location ping appeared. Coordinates for a storage unit I'd rented under Diane's maiden name last year. Clever girl. She'd hidden her go bag in plain sight. I texted Vargas. Burn it down. The fire department found Diane's emergency stash intact. Passports, burner phones, and $50,000 in real cash from our 2016 Costa Rica trip. The kicker? All serial numbers logged as stolen during a Brinks heist I'd, conveniently, reported last month. Ruthless satisfaction smells like kerosene and karma. The abandoned car wash reeked of mildew and bad decisions. Emily chain-smoked under the flickering hot wax sign, her jumpsuit still stinking of jailhouse bleach. I leaned against the vacuum bay, tossing a lug wrench from hand to hand, the same model she'd used to accidentally smash her third husband's Tesla. She's screwing your foreman, Emily blurted, ash trembling off her cigarette. Jared something. Tattoos, drives a lifted F-250. I let the wrench clang against the concrete. Jared with the tribal sleeve? Who quotes Nietzsche during lunch breaks? Her eyes narrowed. You knew. I hired him. I kicked a dented soap bucket toward her. After the pool boy incident. Figured if she'd bang a guy named Chip who couldn't spell PH, she'd fold for a philosopher with a DUI record. Emily's phone buzzed on the sink ledge. Diane's text glowed. I'm coming for him. I smirked. Right on schedule. What's that mean? Means your sister's tracking this meat through your ankle monitor. I tossed her a jammer, the kind I'd used to sabotage union negotiations. Courtesy of your parole officer's eBay addiction. She stomped the device, voice rising. You set us both up. Correction. I pressed play on my key fob. Our conversation boomed from hidden speakers. She's screwing your foreman. Emily lunged. I sidestepped, letting her face plant into a foam cannon nozzle. Ever wonder why Jared's love notes matched your blackmail letters? I dangled a voice recorder shaped like the crucifix she'd stolen from Grandma's coffin. Same vocabulary. Same stationery. Same bullshit. Her phone buzzed again. Diane, 30 seconds. Tires screeched outside. Jared's truck lights flooded the bay, country thunder blaring. I tossed Emily a USB drive. Diane's offshore passwords. Use them wisely. She scrambled toward the exit as Jared revved his engine. P.S. I called after her. Check Jared's glove box. The drive was blank. The real gift? A GPS tag in its casing, now broadcasting her location to every bounty hunter Diane owed. Dominance, I've learned, isn't about the trap. It's watching them sprint into the next one. The motion sensors pinged at 2:16 a.m., Diane's favorite witching hour. I watched from a beach cabana in Cabo, margarita salt crusted on my laptop keys, as she picked the back door lock with our old anniversary earring. The one shaped like a wrench I'd commissioned after she joked about fixing our marriage. Poetic fucking justice. She moved through the kitchen like a feral cat, flashlight clenched in her teeth. Her hair was dyed jet black. Emily's influence, but she'd missed the roots. Classic Diane. Always 90% perfect, 10% self-sabotage. The hidden cam in the grandfather clock caught her rifling through my tool drawer. She bypassed the hammers, went straight for the infrared thermometer I used to check concrete cure temps. Smart girl. The safe behind the drywall would have radiated residual heat if it had been opened recently. But I'd left her a different gift. In the study, she pried up the floorboard we'd sealed with our handprints in wet cement years ago. The time capsule. Inside, our wedding vows, a dried boutonniere, and the last will and testament I'd forged on Burger King napkins during a particularly satisfying bout of food poisoning. I, Lucas Whitaker, being of sound mind and body, leave all worldly possessions to my dog Biscuit, deceased, and or any raccoon inhabiting his former doghouse. She screamed into a couch cushion, the muffled rage vibrating the camera lens. Then she lunged at the wall of framed memories. Our first house blueprints, ski trip photos, the ultrasound from the kid we'd lost in '08. The trigger wasn't the photo she smashed. It was which one? Our 10th anniversary shot at Lake Tahoe. Glass shards rained onto the RFID reader hidden beneath the frame, a relic from my smart home phase. The silent alarm bypassed security companies, pinged directly to Sheriff Donnelly's personal cell. His daughter's tuition? Paid from an anonymous fund after her drunk driving charge vanished. Diane froze mid-rampage as red and blue lights strobed through the blinds. My text buzzed on the burner phone she'd stolen from Jared's truck. Looking for something? I attached a screenshot of her clutching the fake will, timestamped 2:19 a.m. Her reply came rapid fire. You sick fuck. I'll burn it all. Where's the money? The front door splintered. Bodycam footage later showed her diving through the dog door, the same one she'd insisted was humiliating, but now accommodated her newly gaunt frame. She made it halfway down the pool drain before realizing I'd replaced the tunnel grate with reinforced rebar. Clever girl. I toasted the screen, watching deputies drag her out by the ankles. Her black hair dye bled into the chlorine puddle, swirling like oil in a storm. Revenge, I reflected, wasn't about the trap. It was letting them spring at themselves. The cardiac monitor beeped a lazy tango with the 4 drip, Diane's new duet partners. Her left arm hung in a sling improvised from a stolen bedsheet, the other handcuffed to the rail. Not standard procedure, but Sheriff Donnelly owed me for that misplaced evidence locker fentanyl. I paused in the doorway, breathing in the antiseptic sting. Her chart listed 4 broken ribs, a punctured lung, and facial lacerations from kissing Jared's dashboard Jesus during the crash. Poetic, considering she'd ripped the pendant off my rearview mirror years ago during a fight about toll roads. Lucas. Her voice rasped like a dull saw blade. They're charging me with grand theft. I settled into the plastic chair, its legs screeching against linoleum. Grand theft implies grandeur. You stole a Hyundai. Her good I narrowed. I need you to post bail. This safe money is confetti in a landfill. I tossed the envelope onto her stomach. But do open your get well gift. The photos fanned out like a tarot spread. Emily straddling Jared in the cab of his F-250, her raccoon nails digging into the tribal sleeve I'd paid extra to have inked. Timestamp visible on the dash cam, 12:02 a.m., the night Diane supposedly had food poisoning. Your sister's got stamina, I said. Took her 3 hours to crack my safe's backup code. Jared lasted 8 minutes. Diane's heart rate spiked, the monitor wailing. A nurse hurried in, froze when she recognized Diane's face from the MSNBC cheering. Socialite sought a multi-state fraud scheme. Code blue, the nurse asked, avoiding eye contact. Code truth, I said. She's allergic. Diane clawed at the photos for needle tearing free. This is AI. You. Check the glove compartment. I nodded at Jared's close-up. Still smells like Emily's vanilla body spray. Or is that the sin of betrayal? The nurse backed out, whispering to a colleague, the lady who scammed orphans. Diane collapsed against the pillows, foundation crackling like drywall. Why show me this? I leaned close, breathing in her decayed mascara stench. Because you'll spend every visitation day wondering which of them sold you out first. Her monitor flatlined. A loose sensor, not surrender. But the flinch when I pocketed her diamond studs? That was real. You win, she whispered. No, I stood, adjusting the Zimmerman cufflink she'd gifted me on the day she miscarried. You both lose. The hallway TV played her mugshot on loop as I left. Bitter humiliation, I reflected, pairs well with antiseptic. The pawnshop's bell jingled like Emily's old ankle monitor. She hunched over the counter, reeking of gas station wine and defeat, her once manicured fingers now stained with newsprint ink from dumpster dive tabloids. The clerk, a college kid I paid minimum wage to wear a bad toupee, held her grandmother's Art Deco ring under a loop. Plated, he sneered, dropping it into the junk tray. $20 for the lot. Emily's cracked phone lit up with Diane's 47th voicemail. You stupid bitch, where's my Cartier? She slammed down the velvet box containing Diane's stolen heirlooms, the same ones I'd quietly swapped for replicas during her spa day affairs. That ring survived the Great Depression. Emily hissed, mascara bleeding into her nicotine wrinkles. The kid shrugged, sliding over a bill so crisp it crackled. So did syphilis. Take it or leave. Through the two-way mirror in my back office, I watched her pocket the cash and stumble into the alley, directly into the path of my homeless informant. Grifter Carl lurching theatrically, his accidental, coffee-spilled dousing her last clean shirt. Perfect. Diane's burner buzzed with my text as she huddled in a Greyhound station bathroom. Your grandma's ring bought me a nice scotch. Turns out cubic zirconia pairs well with 18-year Macallan. Attached, a photo of the ring melting in my acetylene torch, the family crest I'd laser-etched onto the band curling into smoke. Her scream echoed off the tile walls. Security footage showed her tearing open the Louis Vuitton suitcase she'd lifted from my attic. The one I'd forgotten to mention was retrofitted with GPS trackers in the lining. 5 devices fell out, each crafted from the melted-down remains of 1. Biscuit's urn, GPS signal, woof, 1947. 2. Her stolen Mercedes hood ornament, signal, adultery, 88. 3. Our wedding bands, signal, TIL death. 4. The fake Rolex from her lover, signal, Chronos, 666. 5. The bullet casing from our first hunting trip, signal, buckshot. Diane stomped them like cockroaches, not noticing the white powder leaking from the suitcase's shredded seams, the same diamond dust I'd planted in her hairbrush weeks prior. Every stomp kicked up glittering carcinogens, her panicked breaths sucking them deeper. Manic regret, I found, works best when it's literally inhaled. I texted her the tracking app's login. Check your 6D. Always. The screen lit up with pulsing dots. Emily's stolen phone heading toward the bus station. Cops converging on Diane's location, and Jared's truck idling outside with a fresh batch of subpoenas. Her reflection in the bathroom mirror-mouthed why. But the answer was in her fist, the last tracking chip crushed to powder, its microchip glinting like the diamond she'd traded for lies. Rot always starts at the foundation. The memoir excerpts hit Instagram via a burner account called At Divorce Demolition. 3-minute audiobook clips narrated by an AI voice cloned from Diane's yoga instructor. By dawn, her country club group chat was just screenshots of the cover art. Our wedding photo photoshopped to show her holding a bloody wrench. She found me at the Pine Hollow cabin, where we'd scattered our baby's ashes. Rain sheeted the windows as she kicked in the door I'd left unlatched, her once Botoxed face now a roadmap of rage lines. Chapter 12. She hurled a printed page at me. Diane's miscarriage martini? You sick fuck. I was bedridden for months. I nursed a bourbon, feet propped on the stone hearth I'd built from her father's grave pavers. Correction, you were bedridden between fucking the pool boy. The lychee martinis came after. Her soaked sweater clung to the tracking implant scar on her shoulder, the one she'd carved out with a steak knife after escaping rehab. My friends blocked me. The DAR revoked Mom's legacy membership. Should have dedicated the book to her. I tapped the legal pad where I'd drafted Chapter 20. How to fake a Southern accent and other life skills. Fun fact, your old money grandma ran a moonshine racket. The trust fund? Literally bathtub gin money. Lightning split the sky. The power died, plunging us into firelit shadows. Diane lunged for the fireplace poker, the same one she'd used to stoke the flames, the night our security system mysteriously failed. I didn't flinch. Check the offshore filings. Page 147 of the memoir. Right after the part where you accidentally donated my mother's cancer meds. Her reflection warped in the bourbon bottle as she scanned my laptop. The Cayman Trust's creation date, October 23rd, 08, 2 weeks after the miscarriage. You planned this even back then? Planned. I chucked another log onto the fire, sparks swallowing her gasp. I ensured. Any kid of yours would have been a Trojan horse. The storm raged. Diane crumpled onto the bearskin rug, fingers digging into the pelt's bullet hole. The same .30-06 round she'd misfired during our first hunting trip. Her sob routine peaked at 2 a.m., complete with hyperventilating and clutching her non-existent wedding ring. I yawned, tossing her a satellite phone. "Call the press. Tell them I'm holding you hostage." She blinked rain-soaked lashes. "Why would you?" "So I can release the cabin's security footage." I gestured to the moose head cam above us, where you'll look even more unhinged. Diane froze mid-sniffle. The fire popped, erasing her last Yang. By dawn, the storm had washed out the roads. The sheriff found her barefoot in the boathouse, trying to hotwire my vintage Chris Craft with a bobby pin and delusion. Defeated emptiness, I've learned, smells like wet kerosene and the last flicker of a narcissist's ego. I left her there, chewing over the memoir's final line. Some fires can't be rebuilt. Emily's TikTok live stream glitched as she smeared mascara tears across her cheekbones, the ring light flickering like a strobe in her studio apartment, a converted storage unit reeking of mold and regret. "He beat me," she wailed to 1.3K viewers, holding up a steak knife to her throat. Lucas Whitaker is a monster who. My counterpost went live at 8:03 p.m. The video opened with Emily's own voice, crisp and sober, captured by the bugged crucifix necklace she'd stolen from my toolbox. "We'll say he threatened us with a nail gun. Rich guys always crack under pressure." Diane's reply, filtered through a wine opener mic. "Better plant some bruises. Use that stage makeup from the kidney scam." The clip ended with Emily pocketing my missing torque wrench, the same one that later mysteriously appeared in her trunk. By 8:07, #CancelEmily was trending. Her ex-husbands emerged like cicadas. Gregory livestreamed burning her childhood teddy bear. Tommy Rourke sold "I Got Scammed by Sexy Kitten 72" merch. Even the HVAC guy she'd ghosted in '09 posted a tearful explainer about financial domination trauma. I watched Diane absorb the carnage from a bus station payphone. Her reflection warped in the plexiglass as she scrolled a stolen iPhone. Her trembling fingers left smudges over Emily's final post, a since-deleted shot of them toasting with champagne flutes, filled with my antihistamines. Then came the coup de grace. An anonymous Reddit account leaked security footage from our lakeside cabin, Diane in a cashmere robe, giggling as she fed our wedding album into a shredder. Once Lucas croaks, the Cayman accounts are mine. His precious foundations can crumble. The timestamp? 9:16 p.m., 3 hours before she left the goodbye note. Diane's scream curdled the bus station's coffee-stained air. A toddler pointed as she clawed at a vending machine, trying to smash the screen showing her viral hashtag. #GoldDiggerGrifter. Isolation, I mused, isn't just loneliness. It's realizing every ally was a mark. And every mark has Wi-Fi. The final blow came via a push notification. Emily's Venmo transactions exposed. $27 sent to D. Whitaker Burner, with the memo, "For more lies." Diane's face, illuminated by the dying phone, mirrored the suffocating dread of a trapped animal. Right before the battery died, her screen lit up with my last text. "Check your 6D. Always." The fluorescence highlighted Diane's Oscar-worthy performance. Wrist bandaged with stolen gauze, smudged eyeliner calculated to evoke tragic beauty. She'd even chewed ipecac syrup to mimic foaming, a trick from her college psych ward stint. The nurse spying her story didn't notice the blood pressure cuff's tampered readings. I entered trailing camphor and contempt, tossing an unmarked cassette onto her chest. "For your next audition." Diane's eyelid twitched, her tailbone cornered. "They said you refused to come." "And missed your greatest role?" I hit play on the recorder hidden in her hospital gown's hem. Her own voice purred through the speaker, captured by Jared's dash cam the night she drained our accounts. "Lucas thinks love's a contract. Per fool. I'll piss on his grave and charge it as a landscaping fee." The cardiac monitor betrayed her, spikes mirroring the rising panic she masked with a trembling lip. "That's edited." "Like your suicide note?" I held up the original draft I'd fished from the shredder, 6 bullet points on how to frame me for driving her to despair. She lunged for the call button. I blocked it with a subpoena. "You don't get to quit, D." I nodded at the window where a news van spotlight backlit the blinds. Not when your comeback tour is just starting. Her scream died as medics rushed in, summoned by the nurse I'd tipped off. They strapped her down, oblivious to the mic taped under the gurney. "The game's not over," I whispered, adjusting her pillow to showcase the Cayman Bank logo on my cufflinks. Outside, the reporter I'd groomed with leaked tax returns shoved a mic in my face. "Any message for your wife?" I let the silence linger, rain-soaking Diane's forged suicide note in my pocket. Then, "Get well soon, sweetheart. The world's waiting for your side of the story." The lie tasted better than any truth. Crushing downfall, I've learned, isn't a moment, it's the echo, and hers would reverberate forever. The charity check presentation reeked of flashbulbs and forced applause. I wore Diane's favorite tie, the Burberry silk she'd bought with our joint account days before bolting, as I handed the $400,000 novelty check to a Marine vet missing 3 fingers. The press release specified the funds came from the liquidation of marital assets recovered from fraudulent schemes. Poetic fucking justice. Diane's eviction played out live on Channel 9's helicopter cam. Her Louis Vuitton split at the seams as the landlord tossed them into a dumpster, silk blouses snagging on broken bottles. She cornered Emily outside a 7-Eleven, her once perfect highlights now striped with gray roots. "You owe me." Diane clawed Emily's stained Juicy Couture tracksuit. "The Cayman accounts were your idea." Emily's slap echoed off the Slurpee machine. "You blew our shot with your yacht phase bullshit." The security feed caught it all, Diane's nose bleeding onto a parking meter, Emily fleeing in an Uber pool, and the clerk tossing a free tampon at Diane like a grenade. I toasted them from our empty McMansion, Macallan 25 swirling in the crystal tumbler she'd registered as heirloom quality. The wedding photo prop beside me had a hairline crack through Diane's smile where she'd headbutt the frame during a fight about tile grout. My burner rang as the ice melted. "Mr. Whitaker? County lockup here." Diane Whitaker's been arrested attempting to wire $2 million from a Lucas Cayman irrevocable trust. I muted the TV where Diane's mugshot now followed a Petco adoption ad. "And she's requesting you post bail." Through the window, the pool lights glowed toxic green, her favorite shade. I dumped 5 gallons of food coloring in it after finding her first love letter to Jared. "Tell her to ask her financial advisor." The line died. So did the last flicker in Diane's eyes on the news cheering. Fraud Queen's final heist fails. Hollow victory tastes like top-shelf scotch in the metallic tang of a picture frame shattered glass. I left the glass on the counter, ring stain over her face. Some foundations can't be rebuilt. The diner's neon sign flickered "Eat" like a faulty distress beacon. Diane, now Dawn, according to her grease-stained name tag, froze mid-pour when the bell jingled. Coffee dripped onto a customer's wrist, but the trucker didn't notice. Too busy listening to Blood Money and marital malice blare from his phone. Episode 23, The Cayman Coward. I slid into the vinyl booth she'd been scrubbing raw for minimum wage. Her apron pocket bulged with nicotine gum and a burner phone taped back together. Classic Emily hand-me-downs. "Specials meatloaf," she said, voice sandpapered by Marlboros and parole hearings. "Trust me, it's fresh." The emphasis on trust was cute. I ordered pancakes, extra syrup. Watched her flinch at the word stack. When she slapped down the plate, I palmed the decoy safe key into the syrup smear. "Keep the change." The $20 under my coffee cup bore a serial prefix, 32715. Her birthday. Her chipped nail grazed the key. Recognition flared. Same tarnished brass from the fake safe she'd hauled across state lines. Same teeth marks where she'd tried picking the lock with her veneers. "Dawn," the manager barked. Table 6 complaining about podcast interference. She hurried off, key clenched like a grenade pin. I lingered, savoring the chorus of Blood Money's theme song. A violin cover of Love Shack, Diane had walked down the aisle to. Her return was all tactical breathing and trembling mascara. "What's this unlock?" "Your future." I nodded at the security cam above us, the one I'd paid to install last week. "Check the storage unit on Pier 12. Maybe I left you a consolation prize." The lie tasted sweeter than the syrup. Pier 12 had been bulldozed in 19 for a parking lot. As I exited, the trucker's phone hit the episode's cliffhanger. Next week, the secret recordings Diane never saw coming. She lunged for the restroom. Through the vent, I heard the key clatter into the sink, her breath hitching as she scrubbed at the sticky residue. Too late. This syrup was epoxy laced with GPS microdots. Quiet vindictiveness isn't a grand gesture. It's knowing her new parole officer gets real-time alerts whenever she nears sharp objects. The camera, my camera, caught her final twitch as the podcast outro played. Stay vigilant, listeners. Some monsters don't stay buried. Diane's reflection mouthed monster at the key. The joke's on her. I buried nothing. Just rigged the graveyard.